You're listening to Three Things to Know with Stephanie Haney, with experts and insiders on what you need to know in Northeast Ohio.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Three Things to Know podcast. I am your host, Stephanie Haney. So happy to be here with you. Had the last week off, so hopefully you didn't miss us too much. Actually, that's a lie. I hope that you missed us terribly, but I am very excited to be back here with you after a little bit of time away, talking about something very cool that is happening this weekend here in Northeast Ohio. Bike VeloSano, VeloSano, the cancer research fundraiser for the Cleveland Clinic. We are so lucky to have the Cleveland Clinic right here in our backyard in Northeast Ohio. Truly a premier medical institution, and their annual cancer research fundraiser is culminating this weekend, this Saturday, September 11th, with VeloSano, which, if you see VeloSano all over the place around town and you're wondering what it is, it's the bike ride that goes along with the year-long fundraising project. Now, it is a year-long fundraising project, by the way, but it culminates in this bike ride challenge every single year. This year, this weekend on Saturday, it's back in person, and is that just a joy for everyone? After the past year of literally everything being virtual, my first experience being involved with VeloSano last year was virtual. That's why if you were following along with me last year, you saw me doing live streams, doing push-ups and other things, and Instagramming and tweeting about my own virtual ride that I went on with our investigator, Rachel Polanski. We chose to do our ride together, distancing, of course, as you needed to do back then. But this year, we get to do it in person. Now, it's not going to be the full scale in person with all of the events necessarily that they've had in the past, because we are still very much working our way back to a place where those things are safe and healthy and okay for everyone who would want to be involved with them. But it's coming back this year in a big way, for sure. So my guest today, we're going to bring her in just a minute. It's Nicole Peters. She's the Executive Director of VeloSano with the Cleveland Clinic. She's going to tell us all the nuts and bolts, some of the backstory, the interesting things that you need to know, where the money goes, how much money has been raised, which is an incredible dollar amount, by the way. But first, let me tell you just a little bit about my experience with VeloSano and some of the other things to know. So this has been going on since 2014. So this is the 8th year, and WKYC has been a media partner since its founding. The entire time. Very proud to be a part of that team. WKYC has a team riding. We will talk more about that in just a little bit. But we talk a lot about why people ride, and I have to give a shout out to our special projects team and also Sarah Shookman, who really is kind of our team captain for Team WKYC. She's very passionate about VeloSano and raising money for cancer research. She's someone who's been open about the fact that she lost her father to cancer, and she talks about how that's touched her life. And cancer is really something that has touched so many of our lives. I've lost several family members to cancer, and that's not a unique story, unfortunately. So when people ask me why I ride, I say it's not for a particular person. It's for all of us. It's for any of us. It's for people who don't exist yet, because I'm not a medical doctor, right? So few of us are. But if there's something that I can do to help get those experts to a place where we can be finding treatments that are working to just eradicate cancer, and things that we can do to maybe prevent cancer or detect it sooner or cure it when someone does get diagnosed with it, sign me up. Sign me up. And if I can do that by riding a bike or doing some push-ups online and encouraging people to donate money who would be so inclined to do so, but maybe otherwise it's just not top of mind, and we can bring that attention to it, focus our energy on it for a couple weeks out of the year, I'm all for it. So that's just a little bit about why I personally chose to get involved with VeloSano. And again, such an incredible machine that this is. Fundraising all year long, culminating in this bike challenge. They've supported 170 cancer research projects in the past 8 years. That's pretty incredible in just 8 years. Pretty good track record there. Okay, so to talk a little bit more about VeloSano in the detail, give us the nuts and bolts, the numbers that you want to hear. Let's bring Nicole Peters in right now to get us in the know. Nicole, thank you for being here on the Three Things to Know podcast.
Thank you for having me.
This VeloSano thing, this is quite the undertaking here. I've got to ask, how did VeloSano get started with the Cleveland Clinic?
So it got started in 2013. We had a supporter of Cleveland Clinic, Stuart Cole. He had participated in something similar that takes place in Boston. And he thought, we should be doing this in Cleveland. This should be benefiting cancer research at Cleveland Clinic. And so he donated $1 million to launch this initiative locally here in Cleveland. And so that was February of 2013. And our first ride was July of 2014.
Wow, $1 million to get things off and running. That's pretty
Yes.
impressive. That's a good start.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is something that I've been wondering. I was involved with VeloSano last year. This is the first time I'll be doing it in person. We'll get to that in a minute. But what does VeloSano mean?
So it part of the whole naming of the initiative was we wanted it to be something unique and really grab people's attention. And so we came up with VeloSano, and it's Latin for swift cure. And that really ties into what we're doing. And it's raising as much money as we can to support cancer research at Cleveland Clinic.
Okay, swift cure. I like the sound
Yes.
of that. That sounds great when you're talking about cancer. And so have you been involved in this from the inception?
Yes, so once the gift was made to the clinic, I was brought on specifically to help spearhead and get everything up and running.
Okay, so you are the go-to, the expert on this. Now, the overall goal on this is fundraising. So how much, $1 million, again, a great start from that patron. How much has VeloSano raised in its, 8 years?
Yes, we're in our 8th year now. So the amazing thing about the model for VeloSano is the people involved are raising money, like you were involved last year. We're asking our friends and family, anyone to donate to help us raise these dollars. So it's $5, $10, $50 donations that are all adding up every year. And so in our total collectively now, we look at the first 7 years, and we've raised nearly $25 million in that 7 years.
Wow, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to put towards cancer research and treatments. What has the Cleveland Clinic done so far with that $25 million?
So every year we have a competitive award process. Our researchers are applying to receive these funds. And we typically get about 80 to 90 applications a year. Those are reviewed by a peer review committee. And the research projects that are deemed to show the most promise for success are awarded the dollars. So we announce our total usually every November. And then by March of that following year, the dollars are already out and put to work. So nothing's sitting in a fund, everything is immediately allocated. And we've to date supported 170 cancer research projects.
Wow, that's a lot of projects. That's a lot of money. Is there a particular goal in mind for this year's VeloSano event in terms of a fundraising target you want to hit?
It would be great to hit 4 million this year. We realize we're coming off the pandemic, still unfortunately a little bit dealing with that. We do have our fundraising commitments back. We are almost up to $3 million already, which is amazing. So if we can hit that 4 million or over, would be really great this year.
Okay, that'd be a great push for sure. Now, I know you said there's a competitive process for getting these grants, but are there any other future plans in place for any of the money that might be raised this year beyond that?
One of the goals as well of the projects being funded is we're giving them a kickstart. So a lot of the projects that are funded are new ideas, things that maybe don't have the background data to be able to apply for a larger government grant. So a lot of the works that are being funded are, these new ideas. We have some researchers say, through VeloSano support, you're helping me take my idea from science fiction to reality. And it's such a great way to put it. So a lot of the projects we fund go on to get even more dollars once they have some of their theories proven. So in addition to the nearly 25 million that has been raised by our participants so far, an additional 22 million has been brought in because of our projects going on and bringing in more funding from government sources.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a pretty incredible match rate.
Good ROI.
Absolutely. Return on investment. That's what we like to see. Okay, so this is a bike ride at its core, right? But this is going to be in person this year when it was virtual last year. Last year, it was just like all kinds of anything. I was doing push-ups for donations last year. And, I did ride a bike too. But what do we expect to see differently this year from last year?
So back in person, which is amazing. We know a lot of people, a lot of returning participants are really looking forward to being back with the community. I think for riders and participants like yourself, looking forward to experiencing it in real life this year. But then, we also have that virtual participant who is still with us. They are, we have people across the globe who are still participating this year and raising money. So I think they're looking forward to some of the live streaming that we'll be doing from the main event this year to kind of feel like a part of it. And then we're just, I think we're all ready for a good cry once those rides go out, just because it has been 2 years since we've had, a big ride go out. And it's such a moving moment when you have 2,000 people who are all gathered and they're all motivated and inspired to fight cancer, and to have that collectively and the emotions and the passion of all of that. It's a very motivating and amazing experience.
Absolutely. And for the people who have never been to a live VeloSano event in person, I'll say, because, streaming is still live. It's just not in person. But what can people expect? You gather, you start the race, you run the race. There's a starting ceremony, an ending ceremony? Just kind of walk me through that a little bit.
So in a normal year, we would have this big kickoff party on Friday night. And our main venue is in downtown Cleveland on Mall B, the big green space above the convention center. So we would have this kickoff party. Just with being cautious this year, we are not hosting that. Friday night, we're basically offering like a bike drop-off, bike valet. We'll keep your bike overnight under 24-hour security. You can have it ready for you Saturday morning. So everything this year is really focused on that ride day. The venue opened at 5:30. We have staggered starts for all the distances. So the 100-mile ride will go off at 7 a.m., the 50-mile at 8, the 25-mile at 9, and then our 10-mile fun ride is at 9:30.
Yes, late start for us short riders. Love that.
So we'll have some breakfast for the riders and everything before they go on their ride. And then when you come back, music, finish line celebration, lunch, different things like that. So we have our VeloSano shop. There'll be a lot going on.
Sounds like it's going to be really great. Okay, so you said, yes, you're keeping the virtual element, so it's a little bit hybrid this year. So if somebody doesn't want to ride a bike, what are some of the other ways that people can get involved?
So really, like you said, doing push-ups, or we have people who kayak or run a marathon, or last year we had somebody do a triathlon even as their VeloSano participation. We had people cross-stitching. So it was really anything you enjoy doing, you can apply that activity towards your virtual participation.
Great. Lots of ways to get involved. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Nicole Peters, Executive Director for VeloSano at the Cleveland Clinic. We appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
Thanks so much, Stephanie.
Thank you again to Nicole for sharing all of that information. So much cool stuff to know about VeloSano, and I love learning that it stands for Swift Cure. I had no idea, but I had been curious for quite some time what VeloSano stands for, so now we all know. And now it is time to get you in the know with what you need to know in NEO if you want to get involved with VeloSano. Again, that race is happening this Saturday, September 11th. As Nicole said, there are several different rides you can sign up for. 10 miles, 25 miles, 50 miles, or 100 miles. Now in the past, they've had a 200-mile 2-day ride, not having that this year because of an issue with maybe the safety surrounding staying overnight and some of the protocols that they have put in place as a very cautious medical institution. So that is hopeful that will come back next year. So that's not a part of this year's, but there are staggered start times for those races if you want to be a part of it. As I said to Nicole, I love that the 10-mile race is the latest start time because your girl is not a morning person, you guys. And I think you know that. We've talked about that before. But I do love breakfast, particularly breakfast burritos in general, something else that we have talked about. But you will get breakfast if you decide to show up for the race and sign up for the race at VeloSano on Saturday, September 11th. And there's also lunch afterwards and adult beverages for the adult riders if you should so choose to partake after you finish that race. You can also park at the Muni lot, by the way. I know parking can be a little challenging. It can be a little intimidating to drive around downtown for a lot of people. You can park at the Muni lot. People generally know where that is. That's where everybody does the tailgating for the Cleveland Browns, which, by the way, totally different topic, but can we talk about how excited we are for opening day, season opener against Kansas City Chiefs? Great way to celebrate after VeloSano on Sunday. If you ask me, that's what I will be doing. That's a side note. You can park in the Muni lot and there will be shuttles that run you to Mall B, which is that grassy area by the convention center that sort of overlooks First Energy Stadium, and that's where everything is kicking off and then ending. This is important to know. If you are going to ride in VeloSano, you do have to wear a helmet. It is required, so keep that in mind. And you don't have to ride a bike, by the way, if you want to get involved with VeloSano. There is that virtual sign-up option. You could do something else. Like I said, last year, I did push-ups for that. Again, something I'm going to be doing this week too, by the way. So keep an eye out on my Instagram and my Twitter for that if you want to potentially donate to the cause, if you want to get involved that way. If you are so inclined, of course, no pressure, but if it's something that you'd like to do, we would absolutely love to have your support, any kind of involvement. So if you want to learn more about VeloSano directly from the source, we do have a link at WKYC.com, but you can go to VeloSano.org. That's VeloSano.org. And if you want to get acquainted with the 34 people from WKYC that are on Team WKYC, that fundraising page is at give.velosano.org/team/349173. I know. That's a lot in a web address for me to be giving you in a podcast, but it's going to be linked in the YouTube info. It's going to be linked on WKYC.com. It's linked in the show notes if you're listening to this podcast on a podcast platform. Here's one that's a little bit easier. If you would like to donate directly to my page on Team WKYC, you can find that at give.velosano.org/Stephanie Haney. And that brings me to a good follow. And of course, we are sticking with the theme. If you want to stay up to date with everything that's happening with VeloSano and this cancer research fundraiser out of the Cleveland Clinic, you can follow Bike VeloSano. It's on Twitter and Instagram. They do a great job with these social media accounts, by the way. So it's Bike VeloSano, both on Twitter and on Instagram. You'll see testimonials, you'll see riders in action, you'll see behind the scenes things from the race day, things from previous race events. It's a good time to be had by all. So I recommend adding Bike VeloSano to your feed on Twitter and Instagram. You can stay up to date. And maybe, if you're not ready to dive in and get committed this year, if it's something that you think you might be interested, follow along, and maybe you'll be in for the full shebang next year when everything is back on a full scale with the big opening and the welcome party and all of that good stuff, which I know that all of us are very much looking forward to. Okay, that's it for your 3 Things to Know podcast this week. I will see you back here next week with more 3 Things to Know, my friends.
Thanks for listening to 3 Things to Know with Stephanie Haney from WKYC Studios. Subscribe now to stay in the know.